If you're going to be in the Los Angeles area August 29th through the 31st, come out and cheer on our North American teams as they battle for a spot at this year's World Championship. Head to lolesports.com and click the tickets link to reserve your spot to attend the North American Regional Qualifier. Now, as we gear up for Game 2, Gravity were coming into playoffs after a tough end to the split, and the players acknowledge they've got something to prove.
Our major goal in playoffs is to prove that we're the best team in NA because we were first for pretty much the whole split.
And they're gonna find Bjergsen, Shenolzon, they get him, in goes the Chaos Dunk for kill number 2. And they end week 6 in first place.
We weren't losing games, like that was like the positive side of it. Of course, like everyone's morale is up, team morale is up, but once you start losing, it kind of like hits you.
Impulse in the third place game is going to take victory over Gravity.
With our the losses in the last 2 weeks, we took them pretty hard.
For me, individually, I played pretty bad.
We went 1-3 in the last 4 games, which is really bad for us.
They will end things honestly on a large number of losses. The last 2 weeks, Gravity's only win over Team 8.
I feel like those 2 weeks that we were kind of we were really shaky, we were kind of too overconfident. We just fell off super hard. We have no clue what we're doing. We didn't know what to pick, and we were all just playing really badly. One of the biggest weaknesses we have is that when we're behind, our shot calling isn't that clear, so we kind of don't have a game plan. During week 8 and 9, our practice wasn't that effective. We didn't really adapt to changing meta and stuff, so our pick and ban were really sloppy. We kind of just let teams run over us.
These guys looked so good. I was ready to believe that Gravity were the best team in North America. They looked it, but I mean, what a horrible time to collapse.
I think moving forward that we're just gonna try to focus a lot more on communication, so we can at least have a game plan and then follow the game plan. Going to the playoffs, I think that our training regimen is going to be a lot more strict.
Honestly, we are ready to take on anyone. If we collectively identify our play style, I think we can really come together and perform well.
I definitely feel the pressure of playoffs because going to Madison Square Garden is the stepping stone right now for us. In order to get a Worlds, we have to make MSG first, so that's our whole goal right now.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we talked about TSM before the break, Gravity definitely deserves some talking points after that game. Yeah. I mean, even though they had a rough early start with the lane swap and they started out on the wrong foot, they were able to get the sort of consolation prizes after each time TSM took a big objective. TSM took Baron, Gravity rushed out, they met them, they got 2 kills back, they got a top turret and a dragon. Yeah, it's not ideal to have TSM get the Baron in the first place, but they struck back. Then also, Gravity were able to take that Baron after TSM made their push and took the inhibitor, so they were making moves and they were trying to get back into the game.
It's one of those situations, though, where they are fighting from behind, and they mentioned their shot calling is not fantastic from behind. Yeah. So I think the struggle, the hurdle for them here is not getting that far behind, to not put themselves in the position to begin with.
Yeah. The other thing is that when they were winning so many games, a lot of the players were attributing such good early games to Move. And Move doesn't have the best communication with the other guys because his English isn't that strong. Yeah. And he just he was doing his own game planning. He was finding success by himself. Now he's starting to fall off. The communication is still not there. So it's a harder thing to get back to what their success was because there wasn't really a plan for it in the first place. It was all in his head.
Yeah, and to illustrate sort of Move's decline, as it were, he is 6 games in a row with 5 or more deaths. He is just collapsing, and I don't know why, but it's really rough to watch. This guy was probably rookie of the split. This guy was a crazy good jungler, and then it just disappeared.
All right, well, we'll have to see if they can turn things around for Game 2. We're going to send it over to our casters to get into game.
Thanks, Dash, and we have to wonder what's going to happen in this game. That last ended, I think everybody was probably up getting a drink or something. This game's going to last another 10 minutes, and then boom, it's over. But I think both teams were pretty surprised by that fight.
Yeah, I don't think TSM's going to be 100% happy with the way that game ended. They gave up Dragon despite the gold lead, and they had a wasted TP, but they still came up with the victory, so that's ultimately the happy point. And the interesting thing we do have to mention coming into this game is the side selection. Obviously, TSM was Gravity was the higher seeded team
coming out of the summer.
And they were 9-0 on the red side in the regular season. Picked blue side game 1 probably because they wanted to throw a curveball, but now they're in this situation where they're playing the first 2 games of the series on the blue side where they have a bad record in the regular season, and they risk going into an 0-2 hole.
They were the team to counterflex pick, if you will. Make it a word. There it is. But that's what they used the entire season to keep themselves on top, to an edge on that red side, and not anymore. TSM's going to be able to work that very hard. Same bands coming in on the side of Gravity. That Diana, that Ari as well. The Rumble Jana, same picks, or same bands
order.
As well.
Same bands, same order so far.
What are they spelling?
Alistar comes in again. It's TSM banning exactly the same thing. And will Gravity change their first pick from Shen? Possibly to Nidalee. We'll see. It is the Alistar, exactly the same bands. Different pick, though.
Yeah, so this is interesting because while they are leaving Nidalee on the board, Braum is quite good against it. Being able to shield the Nidalee Spears is kind of a softer counter to Nidalee, and it's the beginning of a full team composition of counters with tanks and shields that you can build against Nidalee. Maybe try to neutralize that pick a little bit, or dissuade TSM from doing so, in which case they could also get Nidalee on the Gravity side, but it's very unlikely TSM doesn't pick. There it is.
Yeah, I think they also might lock in the Olaf here too, because Gravity looks like they want to take it away. If you pick up the Braum and an Olaf, you have so much zone control. You throw the axes down for slows, you throw the Braum ultimate down for slows, and you change basically the terrain of the team fight where people are allowed to fight you and kite backwards.
So far, he's got multiple objects to block now. So he's going to have to pick and choose if there become any more coming from Team SoloMid side. Gravity wondering, Team SoloMid gets the same 2 picks. Probably going to work much like they did in the first game with those, bringing Dyrus down, low health from the jungle to get that turret down in the swap. What can Gravity do to stop this early game?
Yeah, have move on a higher impact jungle. I really wonder how moves Elise is, because that is the pick that he should be going with.
It went through last game with no picks.
It was actually very surprising that he didn't pick the Elises. Evelyn was very low impact. Evelyn's been nerfed since the last patch. This is the 5.14 patch. So Elise has been through the buffs. Very, very powerful pick. Fits move style, high impact, even with the Sightstone. That's the adaptation, and it's a good improvement.
It's the only adaptation they've made so far.
Yeah, still have the Shen.
They've changed the pick order a little bit. They got themselves the Braum. But same bands. And as this series progresses, I wonder if we're going to continue to see those 3 bands, because it's honestly feeling like whoever has red side in this is getting so many power picks on their side because they're getting those first 2 picks side by side. Because there's just so much left up after you target ban Bjergsen a little bit.
And
you
Gravity,
leave other lanes open.
And Gravity doesn't really come into this game trying to play a flex pick game. They're like, get what we need, get what we want. It's plain and simple on the board already. But what are they going to take now for their last 2 picks here? They have a lot of defense, bit of damage in that Elise. They need to put a little more power in there.
Yeah, they have to pick somewhat blind as well.
Yep.
Don't know what Bjergsen's going to be doing with that last pick.
Let's see what Keen goes for here.
Is it time?
Is it?
Oh, man.
Keen?
Go for the
Urgot?
I don't know.
Blind pick Urgot?
Azir swap to the last second.
2 seconds. I don't know if there's going to be a swap, boys. It is going to be the Urgot lock in for Keen.
Scary. This is a full AD composition, save for the Elise if he goes AP Runegrave. You know, it is a possible build. But a benefit of running double AD is that you have Braum with you as well here now. We saw this over in Europe. You run the double AD like Rocat was doing. It's an old strategy with the Braum where you're able to trigger the concussive blows much faster, and when you catch somebody, it's a hard CC catch.
What is TSM considering that strategy with here in their final pick? Bjergsen has pretty much the pick of the litter here. So much is open that he still plays with this Ari and Diana band. It's not really something he's been bringing out consistently.
Yeah, in the spring, Bjergsen was countering Urgot with the Cho'Gath mid, but that's not something that's expected here. This is a more generic of the picks. It's still giving shielding if they want to make Dyrus go fast a little bit. More importantly, being able to lane someone with shields and defensive capabilities against the Urgot really diminishes the ability for him to poke. So this is very much a pick to split the lane with Keen and allow the rest of the team to succeed.
It's also a very teamfight-oriented pick here. We're seeing Bjergsen pick up an enabling role for Dyrus, the Lulu to help him get into fights, and then the ultimate, which is the AoE knockup on Lulu. But now he's doing exactly the same thing. Speed him up into get into the fight and give the AoE ultimate on top of it for the team fight. Because Dyrus is getting great position on the back line.
Once again, more playoff kind of advantage, or pressure, I should say, going to Dyrus. The team really putting a lot into him this game. We'll see if he gets a good early start once again. Like the Lulu, they have the shields coming from the Orianna in mid. Switch up the Sivir and their support as well as the Braum got taken away. What are we looking at from Gravity's side here? Does this composition work?
It has a little bit more burst damage if someone is going to be running through them. Urgot can also reduce the damage of Olaf as he runs through, but it's really not that much change for the Gravity team, and it's an even lower damage composition than they had last time because there's no longer that DPS threat from the back line, and they're running a tank top laner. This is very much a tank ball with a Tristan in the backside.
Also, your wave clear is awful.
We'll see if it works. I'm going to hold Zyrene to that. Remember to share your predictions. Tweet at Esports with the hashtag GVWin or hashtag TSMWin. We'll see how that fan vote stands once we are in game. And guess what? We're really close to being in game. Game 2 here, the quarterfinals. It is going to be Team SoloMid versus Gravity. TSM up 1 game.
And we're in game.
And we're in game.
We're really close to it.
I almost timed that right.
Well, they threw you this extra graphic with too. The rumbling. I love it.
Everybody in their mind is already in the game. These guys were running around. We just didn't have the visuals. So, we're going to be starting this one off. We'll see where the teams decide to go in the beginning, if they can throw anything different here. TSM's curveball was to really stick together. We'll see if it works. Dyrus says he still gets hyped to play in front of the fans.
I've been playing League of Legends for 6 years, and every time I've been on that stage, with all the fans just sitting in the crowd cheering with their signs, you know, chanting TSM, it's never really changed. It's always a really great feeling to win for them and make them proud.
Dyrus has been here since the beginning of the LCS, one of very few players who have played in every possible LCS game in the regular season. And he's pretty much played in every possible LCS game because he made it to the finals as well. So I think he would be the only player to do that, which is incredible.
They got to push it that extra step this year. Past Worlds and then one further to get themselves on that final stage maybe. But really, again, as we mentioned just earlier, casting your mind back to the previous playoffs, Dyrus was also given that chance on Rise, as I said, taking down Impact very well in their games versus Impulse. Now on the Olaf, TSM still putting a bit more pressure on his shoulders, and he's carrying it very well. Great game against Hanser to start off last game, and they're going to have the same Shen-Olaf matchup this game. We'll see if they swap it.
Yeah, well, every game,
like
Gravity has a new tweak to their level 1 strategy. Last game, they were exposed by TSM, had to retreat. This game, though, it looks like Gravity and Hanser and Move were able to get in here undetected, and the wards died afterwards. So unless TSM makes a really strange guess to go invade afterwards with the Nidalee, Zyren's going back and checking to make sure no one was seen by the wards. But this could be a really slick counter jungle move that could set Santorin way behind in the early game, because they're stealing the quadrant of the jungle that Santorin will be moving to next if this works well. Therefore, it makes the 3 buff really easy.
Oh, they saw them.
They saw them?
Yeah, they saw them walk through. There was a ward at the pixel.
Then why is Santorin going this way?
I don't know.
Because it's full counter jungle at this point.
They may have thought that they actually backed inside the jungle after entering.
Right.
That's the only reason I can think of, because he saw him enter here.
Well, that sucks.
We'll see Santorin's move after this. We did see that Gravity played their strength, the AD and support, towards that bottom side of the lane. So if there was trouble in there for Move and Hanser, they had a lot of protection. Interesting play by Gravity. We were looking for that last game. They're able to pull out something here to get their foot in the door and possibly kind of set TSM off. Still happy to try and go aggressive in these lanes. Bunny Fufu walks forward. He'll be all right, though, with the Unbreakable up. Taking a bit of damage he did not want to.
Hate to contradict Zyren, but I was just told by the observers that they did not see them go into the jungle.
Well, they're absolutely wrong. No.
We will never agree on this point. But we'll have to move
they
on.
saw 3 people go in. They saw 4 people go in. They saw 2 leave afterwards.
The important part is that Santorin was counter-jungled early on in the game, and Move did pull off a strategy where he can get 3 buffs and get an early lead on Santorin. Now the question will be whether or not he can transition that with early game pressure.
Right now, Move over on his blue, doing what he can. Santorin back towards the top side, has a bit of a spread between his camps now that he has to work with, but he should be all right, only down a camp. See where Move's pressure is. Keen on the Urgot in mid lane, usually gets a bit of focus from the jungler. And Move now with a better kind of clip at where he's farming, may be able to make himself present there a little bit earlier. Bjergsen wards. He will also, looks like he's back in the middle. He'll back.
Yeah.
Looks like he was just joking around, but he's got it.
Very early tier probably coming for Bjergsen. Mainly, you don't want to go the Athenes against an Urgot. This tier build can lead to one of the highest AP builds for Orianna if he gets the Seraph's upgrade as well as a death cap later in the game. But against an AD, he's probably going for an early Zonius as well, so it's potentially actually a very late blooming Orianna. It takes a long time to turn on, but it is the build you do to split lane against an aggressive laner like this.
Yeah, there actually used to be a build for Orianna where if you're against AP, you go Chalice. If you're against an AD, you go Tier plus Arm Guard.
Yeah. Used to be. That's still the build.
Well, we don't see it that much because there aren't that many AD mid laners people are playing nowadays.
It's true.
Used to be the counter Zed build.
So a bit of back and forth up top. It looks like Move is waiting for a bit more of a commitment from Dyrus, or possibly a bit of a appearance from Santorin. But it doesn't look like he will find either. Push up to the lane, and Move's going to be wasting just a little bit of time here. He'll get some damage on the turret with Haunter. No big deal. Actually, wait a minute. Wait a minute!
Yep.
Oh! It's that old song and dance. They take down Dyrus right away.
Early pressure of the Elise, no backup by Santorin. Move was a little bit slow. Sorry, Santorin was a little bit slow from the counter jungle. Move is a little bit ahead of the game. He hasn't even got back to base yet, so he's been doing a full cycle. Dyrus has also got himself poked down a little bit low. The early gank and damage potential of the Elise is so much greater than that of an Evelynn, and the long con of whatever Gravity pulls off early game is working now.
I'm just surprised that Haunter was able to zone Dyrus from the lane for so long that actually ended up with the turret. It's a Shen pushing in an Olaf.
That's a good point. Doesn't have really any way to get that wave pushed up too much harder than just auto attacking with some key strike passives. So a good play there, and Dyrus did not have teleport, so that was also a long walk back to lane. He'll find no resistance once he gets there, but he wants to start cleaning up this CS. Get himself back in. So it's not going to be the same game for Dyrus' Olaf to start off here. TSM may have a bit harder trouble dictating the first objectives.
And I think what could be more important is it's not going to be the same game for Move. He starts out with first blood instead of being behind
in a better way.
The entire game.
Absolutely.
Yes, last game he got soloed at level 5 while clearing a pink ward in the mid lane and then never recovered.
Yeah.
And throughout this entire split, when Move has fallen behind early, I can't remember a time where he's recovered gracefully. This is a guy who's very good at snowballing games from ahead, and First Blood is the best way to try to get that position.
And Santorin's style of farming seems to be the perfect counter because Santorin just slowly but surely gets more gold than him because Move is placing all these wards, spending his time with that, not having huge pressure-oriented ganks, and Santorin is looking for just opportunities, and in the meantime, he is farming like crazy.
Yep. Keeping himself in that jungle, swiping away at minions, giving the team a chance now to head top side with him. He has cleared that top side, so he is now present, taking down this turret. Almost down. Bunny Fufu should be able to hold this with the rest of the team. Mid lane, Bjergsen has a bit of a lead, but there's going to be no walk up from either of them here to try for this top lane tussle. Everybody's back. No kills coming from that one yet. Just still Gravity's one on Dyrus in the top lane. Good pink wards, however, from Team SoloMid as they're kind of setting these things up. That pressure in the top lane could have been a fight. Good to have
very
vision.
Close. TSM, they feared if they stayed even one more auto attack that the fight would have erupted. I still think they're going to end up getting this turret.
Yeah, they brought the AD carry Tristana up here to see if they can actually shove this wave back out. But it looks like they're just going to back off because they don't have adequate ward control. Move, if they do walk up to this turret, it looks like Move is actually placing himself to walk all the way around. And TSM doesn't have the ward coverage to cover this. They want Turtle to get this last hit on the turret and Lustboy possibly lantern him out, but Move is going to walk up and see what happens.
Nice timing for the gank because they're expecting TSM to go for the turret, as you say. Let's see if he can land a cocoon.
Pretty cheeky. Very nicely done.
Sometimes the best play is not to play. Just stand still.
Don't do anything.
And I like this from Gravity, taking the Tristana, moving her up to that top lane, because even if the turret just has 1 HP, it's still not the gold going into TSM's pocket, so keeping it alive is actually very critical for them maintaining a lead in the early game.
So Move heads back, finishes up his jungle item, he's good to go. Cinderhulk for him this time. Still going shoeless, he's liking the barefoot run for the early part of the game. Be a little bit easier on Elise to get Repel into range. Just see a back and forth. Alltech 2v1ing here in the top lane pretty easily. Turtle and Lustboy not even putting any free damage onto him.
Well, the reason is TSM just doesn't have good ward control on the river over
right.
the turret.
They don't
so
know
they
that
have no
area
idea
yet.
if Move is coming in from the area either. Plus, they're actually respecting the Shen ultimate. It's a total
That's a
outnumbered
good
lane.
point.
Meaning Gravity could actually leave Alltech up there relatively safely until these two hooligans start running around. Dangerous blue invade.
Nice cocoon. Kind of predicted the walk from that pink ward just above, but they don't have the area to fight in. They don't own this space just yet. Santorin giving some damage back to Move, but a nice follow through. Bunny Fufu gets there. They get the concussive blows to lock down. Unfortunately, it goes to Bunny Fufu, but a kill is a kill, and that's the second one here for Gravity.
And it's the second game in a row TSM fails an invade in the same spot at the same time in the game and suffers 2 deaths because of it.
With the same members.
With the same 2 people. Come on, guys, learn from what happens. In this one, they didn't have the adequate lane pressure in order to make that invade happen. They didn't have a numbers advantage, and while I thought that they were respecting the Shen ultimate, something they failed to do in the first game, they failed to respect the Shen ultimate yet again.
Back to the basics, man.
Yeah,
so working for them, though. They've been running those drills. Same people, same place. Obviously, they look for some type of play around this blue area. Jumps in, nice repel there. Dodges the hook and the Orion ultimate, and then it just gets turned around on Santorin.
Great timing. I mean, it's going to be a 5v4.
Yeah.
Unless they're instantly killing someone that's not a good invade. They thought they were going to be able to instantly kill Move, but they have to respect the repel. Nothing was stopping him from reacting to that play, and he reacted to the play. So Gravity now, even with all that, because the turret fell, on a goal.
I don't think anybody was around to actually soak up the turret as well in terms of getting that gold. So they didn't get the bonus gold for proximity. So that turret was pretty much worth as little as it possibly could be.
The minions feel good about it.
Yeah, they feel good about it.
The minions
if the base could buy items, it would feel good about it.
The guy in the fountain is rallying right now. We'll see what Gravity can do to stave off a bit of the damage here coming in from Team SoloMid. It's been a few kills in their favor, but they're not able to push back yet, as we said. Their turrets are still falling as they're losing members. TSM is getting that global gold, and Bjergsen's just an item, or I should say, finishing that Rapido.
Yeah, playing the pressure game for the most part. TSM has the superior wave clear. Gravity has Alltech as pretty much the only person in which they can clear waves. Now, we have seen teams do just fine without wave clear, but it hinges on one very important thing, and it's the ability to fight and win fights. As soon as, if Gravity falls behind at all, they lose the majority of their win conditions for this game. But as it is now, if they can meet TSM at the turrets, even though they can't keep them from reaching the turrets because of the minion waves, they can still win. A lot of it will key off of Gravity being aggressive and willing to take fights.
Exactly, because if, like you said, they get behind at all, it's not only the fact they have no wave clear, and a Baron will make it so that that's shut down, they're double AD. You're going to have to rely on later Keen landing his Noxian Corrosive Charge and having a Black Cleaver to shred people's armor to even do effective damage against TSM.
It's not exactly all your eggs in one basket, but they don't have a gigantic AP dealer coming into this competition.
It's always a little strange when you have a Tristana who wants to get to these turrets to knock them down, and then you don't have wave clear to back it up from the mid lane.
Right.
Because then it just becomes the Alltech show and everybody's just trying to peel for him. Now, this when teamfights happen, it's pretty much going to be Keen as supporting actor until he gets 2 or 3 items.
The Alltech show somewhat works. Looking at the statistics, he's the guy to get the kills, clean up the late game, have decent positioning in this. Wild Turtle was the one kind of flashing forward, getting into trouble. They might be able to play off that again. Coincidentally, it was Alltech that jumped in on Dyrus last game we saw in the mid lane that kind of threw everything out the window. So I'm sure he might be measuring that a little bit, making sure he doesn't get himself into too scary of a position. See where they go. Santorin in the back pocket of Bjergsen to see if they have any plays. Well, looks like they are completely fine with Gravity taking this dragon.
Yeah, they do not have the vision control yet again. to pull this off. Very big difference based on the early game from this matchup from game 1. Gravity is again in a very familiar situation. They love having a pressure advantage on Move in particular. Move is able to duel out pretty much anyone he would meet right now. Cinderhulk and the Sightstone, but mainly because he's Elise, he has that power.
Yep.
They have good vision control and objective control at the moment.
But Move was always the guy to give away those kills, and now he has 2 of them on himself. He's always the guy that just stands there. He's like, take this, it is on a platter for you. But now there's more on Move's shoulders as well.
Yeah, he's finally got his Sightstone back. There wasn't 2 Ruby Crystals being built into the Aegis of the Legion last time. A lot more coverage here from Gravity on the map to keep them safe in the early game. 3-0, just about 15 minutes in right now. TSM keeping that gold even from kills with the turrets they've been able to drop. Or I should say turret in that top lane. We're still waiting for mid to become explosive. Neither Keen nor Bjergsen has gotten going yet. And that was kind of Gravity's idea. Get Keen going, we can carry the games here. Maybe Move will be able to put that into place now.
It looks like Bjergsen isn't even going for the Seeker's Arm Guard early on.
Or the Rabadons. He finished that up. Wow.
Yeah, he's been able to he's been able to stick with Urgot without the need of the armor item, so he's just going for a all-out AP build right there. He completes the Archangel Staff, wanting a very early transform into Seraphs. Maybe he even goes... I'm not even sure what he would go second item. That could very easily build in a number of different items.
Oh, yeah.
Death Cap second or
a lot of
Voice Cap
speculation.
second could both work. No need to speculate. Yeah. The important thing is that he didn't have to go Seeker's Arm Guard, so he will be doing more damage, but theoretically be more vulnerable if he gets caught.
Right.
But another part on top of that, another reason why, is it wasn't an early Brutalizer, it was an early completion on Manamune, and it looks like a Hex Drinker coming in for Keen next. So he wasn't forced to build the Seeker's Arm Guard by the pressure.
And as these tiers charge up, Wild Turtle hits his Triforce Spike. Good time to have that on him if TSM can make use of it. This is where he becomes a big part of the game for the team. Looks like Gravity isn't actually allowing any of that to happen either. Good forward wards by them with a few good defensive pinks. They're really thwarting what TSM's trying to put into place here. They're going to try and move in here, though.
Yeah, and we just saw in the top lane the difference a game can make and an item threshold can make. Last game, Darius had Black Cleaver 14 minutes. This game, it was 15.5 minutes in. He didn't have Black Cleaver. He lost that duel to Hanser and lost his lane pressure.
Right.
And now he does have the Black Cleaver, so maybe that story changes. Overall, TSM has been out farming Gravity, which is why they have this gold lead. And it's all about, what a quick reaction by both of those guys.
Yep.
It's all about the turret pressure.
21-10 for Altec's Flash to come back up. He'll be fine with Rocket Jump, so no worries there. And Team SoloMid still able to keep inching forward. You got to think, there's a fact of you pick nearly the same composition, the team's going to be able to read you at some point, but they're not letting Gravity do it.
But they're just sieging this turret, and Keen is super late to this. No wave clear, takes you so long to clear.
Walking through a lot of wards.
Exactly. They can't even shove the mid lane despite the incredibly slow move there, but now they're going for a fight. Their only win condition here.
This is going to be an area for Shockwave. Actually, it's down for Bjergsen. Let's see if they can get a good hit in. Glacial Fissure kind of separates it a bit, but they are all over the members of Gravity. That's Dyrus getting pushed out of the fight. Hanser's now on the backside. Turtle has a bit of peel for himself. A nice follow with the Repel coming in, and Flash from Move is able to pick up that kill onto Dyrus. 4-0 now for Gravity. Team SoloMid got a turret out of that, but they did lose a member. Is Gravity able to push something off of this, though? That's what we've been waiting for.
They are. They have the Tristana, and you can see Move is coming around the side here to at least put some threat onto the back line as they retreat. Could be another catch, too.
The Cocoon
gets the flash.
Turtle, very, very scary to be able to close the gap on that for the rest of the Gravity team. Good choice by Move, and it looks like Gravity picks up their first turret of the game there, 17.5 in.
Yeah, that's the brawly type of team fight that Gravity needs to go for when they have the Urgot and the Shen and the Braum. You can tell the resiliency they have on pretty much every member is what stopped TSM from being able to pick up those kills there. TSM very close to chasing down a few kills, but because they didn't commit focus onto one of the tanks, none of the tanks ended up falling, and it's a 1-for-0 plus a turret for Gravity.
And also, if you jump back about 30 seconds before the fight, no Shockwave for Bjergsen in the fight. It just now came up, and he wasn't able to add that to the fight, which could have been a game changer right there.
The way that everybody piled into the center as that box went up would have been perfect.
So great fight to take from Gravity's side. Good on them to recognize that and charge for it.
So strong play and no fear coming in for Gravity. Exactly what they need here, 18 minutes in. Start to push back on Team SoloMid and hopefully get themselves a game in this series. TSM riding a bit of momentum from game one here. A lot of pink wards in their inventory just came out. We'll see where those go. It pretty much tells us where TSM is comfortable protecting right now.
Yeah, and one thing that they can't really protect against, since they're against double AD, is against magic damage.
Yep.
I really like moves haunting guys right now. We've seen so many competitive Elises go full tank with Cinderhulk versus the solo queue Elises who go Runeglaive and Magic Pen. This time he's going Cinderhulk and Magic Pen. The reason this haunting guys is better than usual is because there's almost no incentive for anyone on TSM to build an Aegis, because there is almost no magic damage threat on Gravity. Therefore, the haunting guys with its magic penetration will take TSM closer and closer to 0 MR and make move deal nearly true damage and become a real damage threat in this game.
And he also has 3 of their kills, so actually building damage on him and getting a little bit ahead of the curve is very important. I want to see what he does with this build moving forward. How quickly does he get full Leandres, and does he go Rylai's to make sure that he can slow people down and have even more magic damage? Does it all synergize with Cinderhulk?
It would be perfect. Synergizes as well with Braum. He would be such an enabler for the team to continue the catch, continue the chase, haunts or taunts, and everything works out. It looks great on paper. We'll see if they can put it into play.
Yeah, big thing here is, again, the Dragon is being prepped. The ward covered is there by Gravity, and TSM would have to face check in, but they don't want to fall too far behind. This is interesting. No waves are pushed, so TSM is walking headlong into Gravity. Yeah, better not.
That was a nice dodge out on the hook. No reason to fight for that. Gravity chooses correctly. TSM didn't have anywhere to go. This is usually them dictating down mid to take second tier turret, but they didn't have the waves ready.
But speaking of dictating down mid, they get the inside track on mid. They have the wave clear. They're going to get to this turret, and they've already set up for it as well.
They could still. They made it happen even though the wave was not there. You're right, Cyrene. A good bit of damage on the turret. They have to also make sure nobody gets swapped in here or engaged.
This is specifically the time when Gravity would want to fight. Dyrus kind of unnecessarily pops Ragnarok right there, and this game will most likely come down to Gravity's ability to force fights on TSM when they siege. When this game stretches and gets long is when TSM stops going for that play. If they lose enough fights, they will not be able to push up whatsoever, and the tables will turn. It'll become about Gravity diving.
Well, Bjergsen ready for that. Seraph's Embrace and Barrier ready to be shielded out.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's enough to keep him alive. We talked about, as I said, the wave clear for Gravity being low. Once they reach the turrets, they are dropped quite quick with that Tristana explosive charge and the rest of the team's damage. See, now Gravity spread out, start to clear their waves and get things cleaned up as TSM takes the time to get everything warded and do the same. Gravity with a much better game here into game 2. Really don't seem as shy, gun shy even, to take these fights.
And as we see second items coming out, things like the Haunting Guys come up, which give you an idea of what the players' thoughts are around.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you look at Keen, he's going for Black Cleaver second. Forgoes the Brutalizer. He knows that by the time he completes the Brutalizer, he should just have a phase working on the Black Cleaver, because by that point, second item for Dyrus will be in. Looks like a Randuin's coming through. You can look at the item for Santorin, Zhonya's second item, prioritizing armor. So Keen is putting it on his shoulders to make sure that he has the shred in time so that when they have that mid-game team fight, they can win it.
Yeah, mid-game team fight. It's actually a funny thing to think about right now. Both teams are like, oh my gosh, the mids are going to do so much, but they're both so scared of allowing that to happen for the other mid laner that we've almost seen no pressure towards the mid here from the junglers. It's been everywhere else in invasions. So Bjergsen and Keen actually have not had a chance to get themselves going other than just CSing 1v1 in lane. Another time they walk into this area, and another time they're going to lose a member. TSM, no, Lustboy flashes out. I spoke too soon, and he saves himself. Nobody actually was able to help him at all, but he gets out alive somehow.
Got a little bit of a heal there from Santorin at the end.
Oh, you're right, he did, yeah.
And the shield
Good call.
from the
Good call.
big old Bjergsen on Orianna right there. Just that spot of the map has been well controlled by Gravity. You can tell TSM is really fighting over that as the window into the outer turret that TSM probably wants to take next, as well as the window towards Baron control. But with the ward coverage that we see, it becomes a little bit more obvious that Gravity is winning that battle by a large margin. Yeah. So even when Lustboy tried to take that territory back, he was already walking through territory that Gravity controlled, which made the catch possible. Unbelievable he got out of there alive.
Yeah, Altec had that kill. He was in range for an auto attack, could have used his ultimate instead for more damage.
Nice big
Might have been
boost.
banking on the crit.
That Muramana finished up as well for Keen. You bank on a lot of damage once that's activated. 1,000, actually 1,100 for Bjergsen. Very close to being able to finish up that Rapidons and get another item for himself. And the cooldown boots as well for Orianna.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that actually. We have been seeing a lot of variation in the mid lane build since the AP item changes with different gold costs. Like, for instance, the Azir is always going Nashor's Tooth and Rylai's as their build path. But this one is a little bit interesting. As we said, the old build used to be tier into Seeker's Arm Guard. But because he was able to forego that, you'd want to go into Death Cap. But the interesting thing about that is most Orianna builds have an innate amount of CDR with either the Chalice or the Morellonomicon right off the bat. He is making up for that cooldown reduction with the boots, but ends up losing his Magic Pen as a consequence. And I like this for this reason. Orianna, because she has shield ratios, in my opinion, is less reliant on Magic Pen and more reliant on straight ability power. Since the shield can become so much more potent, he's probably going to go Death Cap and then Void Staff, and that will be an incredibly high AP, yet still Magic Penetration heavy build. And he actually skips ahead. I am wrong.
Other
Void
way
Staff
around.
now. Death Cap's next,
Doesn't
guys.
matter. I call the Hex Drinker on Keen. We all get one.
That's great. So Bjergsen actually going for a little bit of that pen threaded in there, so he got it a little bit earlier. Corki, Wild Turtle, I'm sure Freak's happy. He's going for the Blade of the Rune King and not a Bloodthirster. Getting some good damage out of that, as well as Peel for himself if this Gravity team does get within range. 50 seconds on that Dragon. TSM's already placed 3 forward wards here to keep themselves on top of the game. Hopefully they'll be able to start picking that up and find a fight that allows them to open up Gravity's team, take a few members down. They are killless so far.
They've just been looking for ward control over objectives. As you can see, they haven't gotten any dragons, they haven't gotten any kills. But the lead the Gravity has is very minor.
Yeah. Good CSing, generally speaking. Mainly Santorin just power farming despite not fighting.
40 CS up, but only 400 gold up.
He's 400 gold up on a guy with 3 kills.
Yeah. So looking at Gravity's comp, other than mistakes, they're not going to be pushing waves up to turrets and diving. How are they finding themselves, or how are they going to find their way into the fights now? How are they going to engage this?
This is TSM looking
for Gravity looking to get on TSM.
Yeah, potentially a flank attack with Hanser. Move can repel in with the Chenault, very similar to what we saw Team Impulse do yesterday. Almost every initiation was rushed with Impact coming in on a Chenault. This time, though, TSM's kind of daring him to come in. This will be a steal attempt or a quick initiation.
That's a TP back first from Dyrus, and the teleport in
Dyrus
already from Hanser. Dyrus will come in now. He was actually getting home guard boots for the team, throws on the Ragnarok, doesn't really have a target just yet, wanted the undertow, and it kind of took him out of the position to keep doing damage. TSM's not able to finalize anything on this.
Another Dragon goes to Gravity, and now they are on the run. Can TSM even pick up a single kill off of this?
Doesn't look like it. Just Summoner spells on the backside, moves out, and he's going to keep himself far enough for just some cocoons. And Gravity feels like they actually have positioning to walk teams TSM around here.
Yeah, they know the Ragnarok is down from the Olaf, but they haven't accounted for the rest of the ultimates. Where's the Shockwave coming in? Oh! Beautifully timed rocket jump there by Altec.
They were looking for a Shockwave opportunity originally, but Dyrus wasn't able to get in a good position after he entered.
Yeah, that first undertow.
Lustboy, though.
Took him out. Lustboy gets hit. One more Seeker coming in from Keen. He takes down Lustboy. Gravity may not want any more of this. They're still moving forward. Altec gets a little bit of the reset. Now onto Bjergsen. He may be able to finalize that kill. One over onto Dyrus. Here comes the hit from Altec onto Bjergsen. Takes him down even with the command protect. I can talk today. 7-0 now for Gravity. They are working these fights perfectly.
Yeah, they're playing incredibly well. Even though they have a lower overall damage team composition from the last game, they are not making the mistakes, and they are taking the right type of initiative right there. They knew that TSM was trying to flank them right there. Move positions himself. He actually gets out once Dyrus jumps in, and the advantages are chaining onto themselves right now. Gravity probably getting this Baron uncontested. We'll see, though. Santorin has flash.
Just around the corner, he uses the...
He
gets it! He's able to steal the Baron! Santorin also gets out! Pretty much unscathed! Absolutely ridiculous. There's not much you can do about that. Hopped over the wall. Where's the crowd control? Keen could have suppressed, but Keen's ult is down.
Yeah.
That's about it.
No buster shot.
No buster.
No ultimate from Keen. Both are down. You can maybe hit him with a cocoon, but that's it.
If there's ever a time to say this could be due to language barrier problems, this is it. Because Move is the one who needs to be communicating how to secure this Baron, and he was probably unable to do that.
It's a very good
point. In this specific instance, it should be secured 99.5% of the time because they do not have to fear a team fight since they knew there were 2 main people dead. So the only thing you have to do, since they have wards on the outside of the pit, is stop damage or send a dude after him to kill the guy that's out there. There's no reason that should become a 50-50, but it did become a 50-50 because a lack of communication from Gravity allows the steal attempt.
And Baron going over to TSM. We talked about the lack of wave clear. It just blows it out of proportion. If he gets to it, but he's dead.
Wow. Yeah, TSM's getting some turrets off this, though.
From stutter stepping everything they were doing in the first game to 8-0 coming up on 30 minutes. Gravity has completely flipped the first game on its head.
They really have, but they're still... Okay.
Give it to us straight.
There's a thing happening here. Game 1, TSM had the majority of advantages, but were making some slight mistakes, and Gravity was capitalizing on small windows to stay close. This is flipped in that way, because Gravity, by all means, should be winning this game by a ton, but they haven't been able to fight TSM frequently enough at turret pushes. The Baron steal has kept it even. TSM is sneaking enough turrets, and Santorin, even though he hasn't had any gank pressure, is keeping his gold up via the jungle.
Yeah.
It's still a low percentage win for TSM, but it's higher than you would expect being down 3 dragons and 8 kills to 0.
Still very, very close. Early game, kind of in Gravity's favor. Saw Santorin have a rough jungle, but like you said, Zyrene, more of a farm style anyways. 136 to 80 in that as he kept himself in the jungle doing what he can as Nidalee. To the 3-0-2 of move. More presence in the lane this game, and it's really shown for the team to continue to snowball forward. But like you said, Jet, not enough presence when the time is right. Gravity has not had the waves in the right position after these fights. It's going to take them a while. 30 minutes now on the clock with that 1,000 gold lead. And they're still just kind of farming out camps, waiting for TSM to make the move.
Waiting for that Baron to fall off. Very close to falling off as well. So TSM get 1 turret with the Baron. Everything's all said and done. It's not an absolute catastrophe for Gravity, but they would have really liked to have that.
And they should have had it.
No, they should.
It actually gives their team what they're lacking, yeah?
Yeah, some pressure on these turrets.
Everything. Absolutely.
To add insult to injury, that's exactly what they need to force their advantage is the Baron buff. They have to wait for the next one, but luckily they also have a good Dragon timer going, so they can start syncing the Dragon buffs with the Baron buffs. And they've kind of proven that they win these team fights. They have a very bruiser-heavy team. It's negating the Nidalee poke. Olaf is behind on the side of Dyrus, so he can't necessarily run through too much. Altec is incredibly powerful as well as Keen, so there's now 2 physical damage threats smashing Dyrus as he tries to run in. Things are just working out much better for Gravity as far as team fights are concerned.
But because of that Baron, it actually gave gold break points right before the Dragon on this back, where Bjergsen picked up Death Cap, you have Last Whisper completed on Wild Turtle, and Righteous Glory for Lust Boy. They wouldn't have had these items if they didn't get that Baron, because right now, they're sitting with about 100, 200 gold in inventory, which could set them up for a team fight victory here, and one of the first of the game for TSM.
First kill.
Possibly.
If they get one.
How crazy is that, though? 8-0 in kills, and you're still very close at goal 32 minutes in.
They play the game. TSM has always been good at understanding where they're going wrong and how to stop it in a different area.
Gold is tied.
Now you're even
whether or not that's enough to keep them in the game in the end. Ooh.
Right over.
Still a story to be decided, and we're going to see it right now. 3-0 in Dragons. TSM grabbing one would be huge. It looks like that's just going to be a TP in on the thought of a fight.
That was a miscommunication. Monster was expecting a flash ultimate by Keen. The flash away from Lustboy stops him from even going for that play, and then Shen ultimate is basically burned. He would still have teleport if he wants to arrive in a fight, but in a much less impressive fashion. That's also Shen ult down and Keen at half health before a Dragon. Maybe that makes it contestable. Gravity, though, going to force. They can burst this down real fast.
Dyrus.
They're kind of trapped in here. They're going to have to bail at the back side.
Flying in, actually used the true damage over. Santorin stealing everything away for Team SoloMid, and this may be the fight they want. Bunny Fufu is down. That's a bit of that shield that they need to stop these attacks of Dyrus from Santorin. Wild Turtle Rockets coming in. TSM still chose a team against that Braum because they can take the Braum down. That hook coming in from Lustboy, dropping in one, but he also goes down in the same. Wow, great plays coming in right now by Team SoloMid, and Keen and the rest of the team down on the floor. Turtle gets lost there as he gets himself too aggressive. Alltech goes in, gets himself the distance he needs, but Dyrus still on the fight. Everybody's got miscommunication on in or out right now, and Dyrus still wants to dance. One undertow. He's not going to follow with the second one as he does connect, and Team SoloMid scrape through some kills there to keep that even.
First kills of the game for TSM, but they also delay 5th Dragon. If they are able to stay on par with Gravity and able to pick up defensive items against this comp, they'll start winning these team fights.
Oh boy, that was a mess of a fight.
Santorin with the steal though.
First off, yeah, Gravity is, we knew they had no Shen ult and the Urgot was low, not to mention on the side, so this is an incredibly dangerous Dragon to even go for. They end up helping TSM begin it. Then TSM, good fight for them to take because they're trapped and because Keen is off on the flank. Great juking by move to stay alive in this fight, and then it's all about TSM chasing. At this point, you land the hook, you don't need to take it because they probably could have secured the kill with a manual Orianna ball move, and they don't need to continue to chase on for these kills, but Gravity hides where they think they have vision advantage. They're able to close that out, and it's actually just a trade back and forth for the most part. The most important thing about that, though, is the fact that TSM stopped the total Dragon denial. They get the stats for that 6%, and they prove that they can win a team fight if they can get rid of the tank ball of Gravity. Lustboy, though, caught out.
Oh, that explosive charge is going to take him down. Like you said, Jess, sometimes you don't need to take the hook, but I think that was to save the rest of the team. There was a pretty good engage coming in from Gravity. You can see TSM still backpedaling all the way almost to the base, but they stop halfway. Gravity actually pulls up because they want to start pressuring on that Baron. Also watching Dyrus so they don't take any damage from those undertows on the top side. Pink ward for Dyrus lets him know that he's kind of in a safe area right now if he wants to start running back and forth and kind of play this vision game. Next to Bunny Fufu though, so they know all about that. And Dyrus being towards the top side. Lustboy in 6 seconds, no home guards for him, so it'll take him a bit to get back. But after he finishes up his Talisman of Ascension, TSM's gonna have 2 ways to really enter these fights as fast as they want.
Yeah, they're potentially gonna need it because they need to zero out people very quickly. Our questions have been answered about Move's build, by the way.
Yeah, there's the Rylai's.
I like it. And honey guys, it's the build he needs to move.
So is it Sork boots now?
It could be. Honestly,
Crushing
though,
boots?
If we're playing the Find the Magic Resist item game, you would be losing because there is no magic resistance item at all on TSM, meaning the Sorcerer's Shoes would actually make him do true damage against a bunch of targets. So I would say he'd go there. There's a chance he opts for more defensive boots, though. That has its own merits as well, since TSM is putting out so much damage right now.
Gravity giving Team SoloMid things to think about now, putting more than one thing on their plate, mid pressure, as well as Alltech free pressuring in the top lane. He'll be able to walk down, safety around that Baron area, as it is going to call for Dyrus' teleport. He should be able to get a few more waves before something goes off here towards the top side. That gold, only a 300 difference still. Very, very close game.
So Gravity have been holding the Baron area again, starving it out, making sure there's no vision, and they start the Baron up. They were also waiting for the Scuttlecrab to die down so that they know it's an opportunity. They're just looking for a fight, and they get it.
Teen switches around Santorin. They could still be going in. Dyrus going to teleport on the backside. Home guards. He's on to Bunny Fufu. Focusing the support. He goes on to Haunter. Dyrus really doesn't have a target right now, and it looks like he's going to be the one getting hit up. A bit of miscommunication there. Dyrus' teleport home guard was too late. Bjergsen gets taken out. That's the catch control that once Gravity assesses the fight can start picking out priority targets.
And some split focus by TSM right there. There was a big ball of pain moving towards TSM, and Bjergsen put his shockwave on Alltech and missed. So big loss of a team fight right there by TSM. This time, Keen was able to combo with Haunter for a very nice initiation. That's the play they were going for beforehand. And this time they pick up the Baron.
Hallelujah! Exactly what they need this time.
No Nidalee. You're good.
But when you watch that team fight over again, Alltech jumps over the wall and he doesn't even jump into the fight. He jumps over the wall to make sure he has a good angle on the team, and he causes pressure on them from the side. Because Dyrus TPs into the back line. It's a great TP from Dyrus, but they're split.
Aside from the one team fight from Gravity at Dragon, these team fights have been awesome by them. Alltech closes around the backside, and he also, great timing on his rocket jump once again. He's dodged multiple shockwaves that way. And if you look at the overall health bar of these people at the end of the fight, if one shockwave lands on a group, it's actually a team fight win for TSM. This game, 14 kills to 2, been controlled by Gravity, but because of that fact, TSM somehow still in this?
Because there was a group of 4 people to the left, and then there's just this juicy Altec, this huge damage dealer of Gravity on the bottom.
But you have to respect him, right? He comes in from the side, kills one target. Bjergsen was hoping to pop him off quick, but not possible.
Just seeing how difficult it is with this Orianna pick now against Move, who we've seen repel out, and Altec now jump out twice. Shockwaves that could have changed these fights.
It was so smart of Altec to even use the first jump to separate himself from the group of people, being hyper conscious of what Bjergsen can do to the team if they're grouped up.
That's why these guys are #1. They fell down a little bit now to the playoffs, and they're trying to prove that once again. Altec has been a big point of success for Gravity all year long. Money2 shot calling in the bot lane for the early game, and then Altec's able to start taking over and cleaning up, as we said he usually does. Dyrus back and forth, fighting in the top lane. A little bit of a wet noodle fight, not going to go too far. But Keen was actually looking to make that a 2v1 as the pressure in the bot lane continues here. We have Gravity back off. They like where they are at finally with this Baron. It's the first time we've really seen controlling waves with this composition.
So they get wave control, and they're getting a dragon simultaneously. 4th dragon, a lot of objectives falling to Gravity's way.
So big.
And this is the advantage they need with the double AD composition that they have. But even when you look at the double AD, you have full AP on Move. He does have the Sork boots, and Hauntzer with so much HP that transitions into AP, or at least magic damage, and a Banner of Command. This team actually has a sizable magic damage threat with that combination.
Yeah.
You can see the damage that Hauntzer does to Dyrus.
Yeah, they put TSM in a catch-22 as far as items that they can build, because they want to build a bunch of armor against the double AD, but there's a sneaky amount of magic damage that they are not prepared for, and then that becomes the threat.
We found it. We did it. Another way to get the wave push is Hauntzer just bought himself a Banner of Command.
Absolutely, we did it.
Got it. Even more push.
I think this game also displays kind of how difficult it can be to win when you're so heavily outmatched in wave clear. It's a 14 kill to 2 game with Gravity winning pretty much every single team fight. But they're still having to work for this one. Finally, when they were able to secure the Baron, it gave them the turret snowball that gives them a bit of a gold lead. They are clearly superior in the team fights.
Oh, the catch on Bjergsen.
That is so important. But the Lantern gets him out.
That's his flash down. He still has a lot of safety in Seraph's Embrace in the 2 other shields from Protect and Barrier. Things are getting tighter, though, for Team SoloMid. They can't keep making these mistakes.
Yeah, they got 2 ultimates out of Gravity, and Gravity no longer has the Baron buff, so they're going to have to go back to splitting these waves. They didn't even get an inhibitor. They didn't get an inhibitor turret, so they still have this large task in front of them of breaking the base.
Yep, because every fight up until this point has been won by Gravity basically in their territory. So when they win, they can't get the objective advantages necessary. Right. Now that they're fighting on this side of the map, a team fight win means the game win. They have large death powers to be able to close this. They just have to win a team fight for about the 7th time. It's a little bit more difficult with the inhibitor turret there, though.
We've seen what happens when they reach the turret. Stana and the rest of the team able to crush those down immediately. Team SoloMid now able to keep them at bay, and Gravity is trying their damnedest here. They're starting to lose a little bit of pressure on the top wave. You're going to see that they move back to get this, but still pressure in the mid to see if Team SoloMid makes a mistake here. Looks like Move's not going to go too far.
You can really just see the power of the front line that Gravity has put up and how that completely negates Santorin's power in this game. We questioned why Gravity didn't first pick Nidalee in the first game, because Santorin had a pretty big impact here. This is a much better answer to why you don't first pick Nidalee, because they first pick Braum, they pick a bunch of tanks everywhere else, and they shield all the spears basically coming their way. What is TSM doing out this far?
Oh, move on the flank.
They're using everything but summoner spells to get each other out right now. It's working well.
Save him, save him.
It's working well, but it can only work a few times. That top wave's going to have to get a little pressure from Gravity soon. That's going to hit the turret nice and hard for Team SoloMid. I think it's a little bit of breathing room as well on their side of the map. They get to think about what they want to do next. And Gravity, they used the Baron buff a little bit. Definitely going to need another one to make some more dents in that base of Team SoloMid, I think. It's going to be very tough from here on out.
Hauntzer gets to clear the wave, throw down his Banner of Command at his leisure, and cause split push pressure.
2-0-11, 4-0-6, 4-0-6.
He also beats Dyrus in the one-on-one, so there's absolute split push pressure here for Hauntzer in this game. Gravity's just not exerting it at this moment, and I feel like that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I think for the most part, Gravity is playing around the objective game right now. They know they have team fight superiority if they play it right.
Yeah.
And the main way they win this game is securing a Baron as well as a Dragon 5 buff, and then going. They're a few minutes away from both of those objectives. Baron in 1 minute, 5th Dragon should be in around 3 or 4 minutes, if I remember correctly. They obviously don't want to wait too long, but that is the safest approach at this point. Yeah, there he is. Dragon, 2 minutes, Baron, 1 minute. They need both of those. Then they go for the win.
So TSM has to respect. 5th Dragon would be too much here for Gravity to get, and everybody a little early is going to start moving to this spot. Gravity.
If the Righteous Glory gets popped and the Talisman Ascension.
Yeah, there's a lot of speed and catch up.
Move definitely wins that one. Now his Dyrus going down to about 40% health.
AP.
He's going to get the Abyssal Scepter as well on top of it. I think he would. Would you think he'd get the Abyssal Scepter before finishing? Seems like he might.
Sure, no. Go either way. Both are good.
Thornmail being completed now onto Haunter as well. He gets a little bit bigger up in that top lane. These guys have quite a bit of money in their pocket. They've had the Aegis for some time and are now just putting a surplus of items down. Dyrus looking to get more damage as well with a Cutlass. Will turn into a Blade of the Rune King. Everybody's pretty much nearing max here. Summoner spells are going to be up for this next fight, and it could mean a huge push for Gravity if they're able to get it. 50 seconds for Dragon. Mistakes here would be gigantic for either team. They're going to go for Baron first, really. Try to whittle him down at Baron. May not even need Dragon.
They actually going to start it, though, or are they just going to bait it out?
Yeah, they can try and get a fight. Keen needs his flash to create their perfect initiation with the swap, so maybe they're just kind of dancing this one out for a little bit.
Yeah, they just want to go for a
Haunter
fight.
finds a nice move.
Oh, catch on Bjergsen.
All those shields on Bjergsen actually not even being used there. His Summoner's up. Should be good for the rest of the fight. A taunt through Dyrus. He should stay safe. The team's not following him, though. Once again, a split. He's trying to make his way out the right now, and the Command Protect goes on. It's going to be a double shockwave. Moving Haunter low, but they get out safely, and Keen's going to be going on a one-man mission around the wolf side. He's met by Bunny Fufu. We're going to see what can still happen. Turtle flashes out, keeps himself safe. And it looks like Gravity's able to just push TSM around.
We talked about those summer spells. Everybody use your summer spells. Nobody dies.
No deaths.
And it's still going to go. Bjergsen's in flank position, as is Santorin. This type of chaotic fight could favor either team. Nice
flash talk coming in. Bjergsen low on mana. Can't get enough protection out this time. All the shields were used, and TSM still stayed to fight without the defenses required. This is going to start being inhibitors. Gravity finally broke the base.
That's their wave clear, and they also have waves pushing the top lane. They can just go up here and take another inhibitor.
Couldn't have been a better time.
How do you have that whole fight and still have Taunt Flash available, but it's used at just the right time? He finally catches Bjergsen.
They could
2 inhibitors down.
Not everybody.
They're going to go all the way around here. A huge wave in the bottom as well after having a game where no wave was in place. Even past the river, everything is coming in. The Banner of Command now put on this minion as well to give him a little bit more help. There's the swap, the suppression on Lust Boy. He can't even put a box down to put anybody in. And that's the 3rd inhibitor. Did it just happen again? Did this game just get flopped on its head? Gravity this time is going to be the victor on it. The first Nexus turret goes down. Game 2 is going to come through in a 1-to-1 now as we head over to Game 3. And 46.5 minutes in, Gravity take down Team SoloMid.
And fight after fight after fight after fight after fight went to Gravity.
Lord.
And all they needed was...
Look at the tears for Lust Boy. He's crying.
Oh, Lust Boy. He builds 4 tears at the end of the game. You'll see that in the post-game stats if you check all these Esports afterwards. But really, as soon as Gravity won a fight inside the territory of TSM, which they had done so many times during that game, they were able to close the game. This was a somewhat procedural game by Gravity. They had a few slip-ups that made it last longer. The one Dragon Steal and the one Baron Steal really extended the length of this game. If those 2 things don't happen, you know, Gravity gets a few kills, but a much faster victory.
Move knows all about stealing objectives, though, having his own Baron steals and Dragon steals in the past. But this was Gravity knowing their win conditions through and through. This looked like a composition that they've run over and over again. Altex Tristana, Keen's Urgot, how to play around it with Bunny's Braum. Really beautifully done there by Gravity.
Got a question, is this who adapts better now? Team SoloMid ran practically the same compositions, that Olaf in the top lane, Nidalee in the jungle, a shielder protector, Lulu or Orianna in mid, with a bit more damage.
You also swap sides next game.
Yeah, that's right. We're
Gravity
getting our first side
on the red side. They did lose on the red side when they played Team Impulse in the tiebreaker game, but outside of that, they are 9-0 on that side.
That's right.
It'll be fascinating because I thought so much of this was kind of going to center around a Nidalee pick early on in the game, but Gravity has now shown they can defeat that. Maybe the first pick priority doesn't matter. Red side is... It's going to be very interesting. I can't wait for the next pick and ban phase.
It's going to be real good. The series already 1-1. It's only going to get better. Let's now check in with Freak, Dash, and Kobe for more on Gravity's first win of the series.
Thank you, gentlemen. Guys, there's a lot to talk about here. We identified a lot of things we wanted to see changed. A lot of things did change. Let's start with Gravity, as we saw them come out with an interesting level 1 strategy that put Move ahead very early.
Yeah, I mean, this was a really good start for Gravity, and when they were finding a lot of success, it was starting with level 1s where they would get Move a good early lead. They invade on this blue quadrant of the jungle, and TSM, they either don't see all the members exit, or they do, or they guess wrong. Either way, it's kind of lazy not to check, and that's happened to many players when you play a bit lazy League of Legends.
Happened to Kobe and Black Market Brawlers. Happened to Kobe.
Pre-Kraken start for Gravity. I mean, they got Scuttle Crabs already, Plunder Crabs.
But anyways, it wasn't just that. So Move takes this early lead. He transitions it up into the top lane. He ganks for Hanser. They get a first blood and a really nicely executed 2v1 with Dyrus.
Yeah, and honestly, I gotta say, the level of play from Gravity looked a lot better. Like, Move got a more comfortable champion. You're talking about how well he's playing on the Elise here. Hanser is still unkilled in both the games here, and has only missed 1 kill as far as 100% KP goes in this, like, 19-kill game here. So, huge props to Hanser. He said in the pregame, I'm going to beat Dyrus. He's playing a, like, sort of safe split pusher in Shen, and is having more impact than Dyrus. So, freaking nice job to him.
It is easy to have a high kill participation when
Shen.
you can teleport, but
That's
yes,
true, yes.
Still a good point.
But I mean, still super solid, not dying being frontline take. Also, Altec. Like, I ragged on him last game because I don't think Tristan is that great of an AD carry as far as carrying goes. I think on the spectrum, she's a bit lower. But I really like he chose for Phantom Dancer, not Static Shiv. Much higher DPS there. Last Whisper third. Huge deal, actually. Much higher DPS per gold. Riskier, but in a 4-tank team that works out. So, kind of compensates for Tristana's slightly lower damage with a very optimized damage build, which helped significantly in this game.
Well, you talk about Altec. We have a replay where it shows him outplaying in multiple scenarios. So 26 minutes into the game, we're going to start in the Dragon. This is an extended team fight, finds its way all the way to the mid lane and beyond. Kobe, I'm going to let you take it away.
There were a lot of complicated team fights. Let's bring this one up. This is one of the early ones where Gravity get a huge lead here, and it was TSM. Watch Dyrus, he teleports from the opposite side, and so he runs through the entire Gravity team right by Altec. And he gets chunked out. He gets to do almost nothing in this because he goes straight for Elise. Multiple times we've seen TSM be outplayed by the repels of Move on Elise. This time it cost them an entire player for this fight, and the rest of the fight is almost 4 versus 5. There we see Altec outplaying with buffering his rocket jump so that he was able to get out of both the Flay and the Shockwave.
Yeah.
Shockwave actually has, 0.75 seconds for it to go off. And
so that's the outplay potential for Tristana.
Exactly, because the buffer time for rocket jump is only 0.25 seconds. So after you see the animation begin on Shockwave, if you wait half a second, then you'll be able to get out of it every time. The thing is, Lustboy also overlapped his Flay with it, so Altec got to escape 2 for 1 there. Plus with Dyrus being chunked out low, it was just so many things going right for Gravity there that they were then able to snowball this sort of 4-tank, semi-tank, big bruiser team comp with Tristana hopping around the outside.
And we saw this manifest multiple times, but also, too, I want to point out what Jat was talking about, where the tank line for Gravity was much better this time around. It proved to be a lot more difficult for Santorin to be effective on that Nidalee.
The tank line was almost the whole team.
Yeah, it's a bunch of big tanky guys, and I mean, it worked out really well. It was cool to see the tank line also going basically double Sunfire as well, right? Shen getting it first item, at least going Cinder Hulk. These are normal builds, of course. This is not exactly build adaptation, but the fact is it works out in this composition, so there's some magic profile here.
Yeah, TSM talking over the game now, 1-1. They're going to have to remedy some things. Back to your point, though, there, Freak. You might actually be able to check it right quick.
Man.
Is the differentiation between magic and physical damage?
So of the 89,000 damage that Gravity did champions, 46k physical, 42,000 magic. Now, to be fair, this is mitigated by the builds of TSM. When you have a 500 armor, 100 MR Olaf, of course, that shrinks the numbers together. It actually sort of proves that TSM built the right items, that they itemized down to 50-50. But that said, hey, look, magic damage mattered a lot, which means Elise and Shen were contributing literally half the team's damage.
Yeah, and this supports, Kobe, real quick, last hit. This supports the Urgot pickup in terms of helping that mostly AD team still get damage through.
Yeah, I really like the Urgot, you know, not only for the shred and the fact that he builds Black Cleaver really early, but Keen on, as they said, a comfortable Keen champion. He played it really well. Urgot's not that easy to play well in team fights like that. He had a lot of times where he was poking at max range. There was no response from TSM. He landed the slows. He was able to engage in chases. The way that he plays on a champion that he's put in a whole bunch of time on really definitely showed.
All right, well, Gravity's on the board. We're going to take a quick break while our team strategize for Game 3 between TSM and Gravity. Stay with us.
Game 2 here, the quarterfinals. TSM up 1 game. Gets a little bit of the reset. Now onto Bjergsen. He may be able to finalize that kill. 1 over onto Dyrus. Here comes the hit from Alltech. He gets it. He's able to steal the Baron. Santorin also gets out.
Go Nergot, guys. Yeah, go Nergot.
Guys alone, they all
I have
flash
shield
up.
for you. I'm healing Dyrus.
I got
Shield, let's go.
Olaf. Could favor either team. Nice flash talk coming in. Bjergsen low on mana. Can't get enough protection out this time. Gravity take down Team SoloMid.